okay and healthy at home. This is another edition of Traveling with Your Passion, and tonight I'm going to have two special guests. For the first time, I have a couple that travel, obviously, with what they love the most, which is skating in this case. So we're going to have tonight Robin Johnstone and Andy Buchanan. They're ice skaters, they do aerial, they do adagio, they do casting, they do artistic involving in Cirque Du Soleil, you name it, they've done it. They've done Holiday on Ice, Disney on Ice, Cirque Du Soleil, dancing on ice, everything on ice, absolutely everything. So it's gonna be a total pleasure to have a conversation with them, and they're gonna tell us about their stories of traveling as they've seen literally the whole world with their tours. So let's get them in to have a little glass of wine together.
There we
go.
Hello. Hi.
Cheers. No. Cheers. Welcome.
Yeah, it didn't work on the computer. It just worked on the phone. So I'm just going to grab my charger so I can keep my phone going. One second.
Done. The whole technology. I know, technology. Right? Oh, God, there's so many things going on right now. I'm like overwhelmed with these things that I have no idea how to use, but we're learning.
We've learned so much about technology in the last 2 months. We've done Zoom presentations every single night, so yeah, it's our new career.
So you've been doing presentations for your project, right?
Yeah, so we've been working with US Figure Skating, and we presented for their elite coaches track a presentation about skating, lessons learned on the road, and how you can apply things that we've learned on the road and with acrobats to everyday training. And it's basically the theme of our presentation for them was, I wish I knew this when I was a competitor. So all the things I've learned in the show, I wish I could go back and implement them. I would have been a way better competitor. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So what kind of tips we want to hear about them?
Well, everything from training methods to how to work within a team. And you know, Cirque Du Soleil, working for them, they've done lots of studies on how teamwork creates better athletes. Working together always creates a more positive environment, raises the bar. So we talked a lot about that. And then everything about like choreography and some of the things we do with our choreography, like we always train our choreography full out, no matter what. So if we're tired, we'll just do a section of our program. But we always do it full out, because we've realized over the years, the minute we do our program or we run our choreography a little bit easier, our body seems to remember those little adjustments. And even if we go and try and do it full out the next time, it always gets a little bit more watered down, and then we have to go back and adjust. So we don't want to play that game, so we always do it full out no matter what.
Yes, it seems when you're taking classes, it seems like the teacher is annoying, isn't it? But it's true. And when you go on, like, and the more full out you do it, like the bigger the energy grows, and then it ends up being, you know, you think you're over the top, but no.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. We're playing to huge buildings with like 10,000 people. You know, the people up top have to be able to see it.
And not only that, all those people have, you know, saved all their money. Some people have never seen a show before. So it's really important to us to make sure no matter how we're feeling, we give that 110% every time. And even if you are feeling a little bit, you know, slow or not feeling well, you have to dig a little bit deeper, because those people are paying a lot of money to come and see you. So that way too, just you have to sell it.
Yeah, it's a responsibility for sure.
Yeah, of course. So you guys, tell me a little bit, because I don't know much. Did you start both as pair skaters, or were you singles first?
So I competed in singles and pairs.
And I played hockey.
And I played hockey. I only joined skating to improve my hockey skills. That's how it started. And then I fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, and I competed the senior ladies level, just in singles till I was 20 years old. And it wasn't until I joined the shows, mostly Disney, I learned a lot of pair stuff, because, you know, you're always, there's prince and princesses, and you're usually skating next to a guy or with a guy. So I started learning over 20 years ago, pair stuff, and then just getting better and better with different partners. And then finally, Andy and I, we just exclusively, since we got married 13 years ago, we've just been skating together and learning more stuff too.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you've been together then 13 years, married, and as well skating together. That's cool. So you know each other on and off the ice
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think our relationship on the ice makes our relationship off the ice stronger. You know, we trust each other. We know when I know when I'm getting, you know, grumpy or frustrated, and her too, and we just know how to react with each other and what each other needs.
Well, that's nice and healthy, because you know how many couples you've seen them around shows.
Oh yeah,
On the
exactly.
contrary, skating together will break them down, right? So
Yeah.
this is really cool. And did you take lots of like dance classes to improve on your movements, or how was the training of like the interpretation and the arms and the postures?
Well, for me, I always loved the artistic side, and when I was really young, I did take ballet and jazz, just not too long, till I was about a teenager. But I don't know, to me that's just inside of me, and I always liked the artistic side. Always, all my programs competing always had themes and stories, and it's just something that it comes easy for me, and I really like to get into characters. So once I was able to join a show, it just brought that out even more. It was even more fun to become cool characters on the ice.
Yeah, and I had a totally different path. Like when I was competing, I was kind of shy. I was more into the athletic side of skating. Okay. And you know, it's just where I came from. I came from a really small town. It was all hockey players, and I didn't really feel like I learned to express myself until I joined shows. And since then, it opened up so many doors. Like it opened up a part of my brain that I wish I opened up when I was a kid, you know? Right. And then skating next to Robin, who's just so natural, I've always had to work that much harder, like especially earlier in our skating career together, because nobody wants to see terrible feet next to really nice pointed feet. So I worked at it. Like it wasn't natural, but I work at it all the time.
Well, but that's good, because sometimes, you know, in pairs happens that the girl is the feature, right? And maybe a guy is next to it like this. But I feel if the guy works on the expression, then it becomes more of a team and not just the lifter.
For sure. And the thing that we really focus on, and that is kind of our passion when we skate, is our connection and connecting with each other in the audience, and having a reason for every movement and feeling it. Like you get to that place when you practice that so much that you start to feel it inside. And that's when the real performance comes out. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that do movements and they move beautifully, but they don't move the audience. And so when you have that place where you can bring it from inside and you feel the emotion, that's something special.
Well, like that's interesting, because I've done some seminars with skaters, and we go on that technique of like putting a verb or an emotion or an action for each movement, because otherwise it becomes one big theme and there is no depth in the interpretation. Now the character goes through different moments that has to convey the movements. So that's interesting, because not many people go through that, don't they?
Well, yeah, and it took a long time to develop, but I think, well, on Holiday Nights Believe, we had this beautiful pair number choreographed by Christopher Dean. And at the end of the number, sometimes we're crying. Like we felt it so much, and the number went by in a second. Like we weren't breathing. It was a 5-minute pair number. Well, 4 minutes.
And you don't think about, when you really get into that, the character and the story, you already have the tricks. You don't get nervous for your difficult tricks that you put into it, and then it goes by really fast, just because you're swept away and swept into it. So.
Yeah. It's not like that every single time, but you try to get there. You try your best to get there for the audience. But when you do, you have those really special shows where you just you're exhausted at the end, but you feel like you've given everything you possibly could. That's the most rewarding part. Yes. That's why we're still going, and we're over 40. You know, it's.
You're over 40.
Yeah.
You don't look like it. Cheers.
Oh,
cheers.
Well done. That is the living through the characters that keep you young. So
right, yeah. We're living through younger characters.
Yeah,
exactly. And you live a long time in Disney. You know
that's right.
Yeah,
that refreshes your blood.
And just the cold, it keeps you. You know, it preserves you.
Yeah. Well, you know, we haven't skated for Disney for a really long time, but it's still where we started, so it still feels like that's our family and our roots.
Yeah.
We've been lucky. Like my first year on tour, one of the veterans, like I had some really great older people around me. They said it's where the way you leave a company says just as much about you as how you were when you were there. So we've always left every company with like a really good rapport, and we can always go back.
Yeah, and we try and keep in touch, you know, because I mean, everything that's got us to this point and to Cirque, and you know, we spent 16 years with Disney, and you know, we've been with many other companies, but every single thing gets you to the next year, the next show. You learn more, you grow, and like we said, we still are learning things.
Oh, for sure. So. It came full circle when they asked us to come back and help assist choreograph one of their shows. And being on the other side of it, like, it all came back to that first year, like the things that we were, you know, showing the new people and the lessons we were teaching them were a lot of the things that I was told my very first year on tour, and just how to treat people. And I've lived by that. Like, it sounds kind of like we're, you know, high school. But one of the most important thing I think I was told was, don't forget what it's like to be new. Don't forget your first day. Yeah. It's so important because there's that somebody new is going to come in and you're going to look at them. And if you remember that first day, you're going to be like, oh, wow, they're a mess just like I was.
You're nervous, you're young, even though, you know, there's so many new things, not just being in a new group, maybe traveling, maybe you've just graduated, never left home. Like there's so many
lights, costumes, makeup, rules. You shouldn't see the costume, you shouldn't smile. It's overwhelming when you come from competition. It's very, very overwhelming. But that's nice of you because, you know, there's other people that are always get the newbie to, and so it's important that there's people like you guys to, you know, hold them and guide them and mentor them.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's very important for the older skaters on shows to, or wherever you are, but just always to mentor and pass those things down that you've learned to help those people. It'll just, you know, they'll never forget it, and then they'll probably pass it down too. And it just helps everybody. And again, it goes back to teamwork. It just makes everything better and more fun too. So
absolutely, yes. So tell me, you have a company, right? Are you starting a project with a company that has like a mix of things? I want to hear about that.
So we have a company called Creative Athletic Performance. And we do a lot of things, like everything from coaching, consulting, casting. One of the things we're doing for skating, first of all, we're doing it for multi-sport, not just skating. But one of the things we're doing for skating is we're creating these customized, unique workshops that bring in top-level world coaches from different disciplines. So for a skating seminar, for example, we'll bring somebody from extreme sports. We've been talking with a gentleman named Christian Glasgow, who is Shaun White's sports psychologist. And then we'll bring in somebody from acro or circus, and we'll have them do like, you know, interesting lifts or techniques, and then maybe some acting coaches, or we have friends that are backup dancers for like the Spice Girls and things like that, and bring them in to create these workshops and expose the skaters to people that they'd never be exposed to, but on a super elite level.
And not just that, it's also taking it to the ice then. And then we're translating it. Yeah. But it's like getting the mentality from all these sports. So if you have an extreme sports or a freestyle person come in and work with you, it's like, what are they thinking and what's their train of thought? And how, you know, we're one-sided. We just like think of in the skating bubble. Yeah. And so it's really cool to have like their way of thinking and then bringing it to the ice, because it'll just open up like and expand everything. And then we're also going into the extreme side. So we'll take some of those same people, acting coaches and stuff, to extreme sports, and then they get that side of it too. So it's not just for skaters. It's like on a crossing boundaries of all sports.
And cheerleading's another one. One of the things we're doing at our seminars too, that it's going to be uniform. So say there's an acrobat teaching a group of pairs some acrobatic lifts, and then we will translate those lifts and bring them onto the ice and add on some typical skating things to them to show that how they can integrate it. But on top of that, whoever's teaching the dance will learn part of the dance and show them how to implement those tricks within the dance. And we'll bring it all together. So it's all like accessible and they all understand how to implement it. Because I feel like with a lot of seminars that we had growing up, they'd bring people in, different people, and they'd all teach something different. And you wouldn't know how to use half the stuff. Yeah. You know, you'd be like, oh, I learned this cool hip hop dance. Where does it go in my long program?
But I like that as well because, you know, you can put a seminar with people from different areas or disciplines, but it's hard if they have no idea about the other one. Like if I go and teach a choreography, but it doesn't apply to the ice because I have no idea, then, you know, it's going to conflict between disciplines. So that's very cool what you do. So everybody gets a taste and it becomes one unit, the whole product. That's fun.
Yeah, a huge part of it is teaching people how to use what they've learned. You know?
Yes, I love it. That's really, really cool. Do you do it with Ariel as well?
Well, yeah, we're going to be doing that as well. We're going to be doing a lot. Like right now, we're still building the company, but a lot of the people on our roster and our partners are also high-level people from Cirque du Soleil with a lot of connections. So we're building our rosters. We have a really good core of people that we're working with now, and then it's going to be like a really high standard of who we bring in.
Nice. I want to be one.
Yeah, and
I'm
whoever
so excited.
most importantly, they have to share the same values. It's all about mental health, treating people with respect, and making better humans, not just a factory to create like these skaters. You know,
because there's so many of these things that we learn as performers that honestly so much goes into your real life, you know, that you can take to different jobs outside, and just I think it's so important to like get as much information from other people as possible.
For sure.
And you're a person, right? You don't become like a machine that does the job, and you're still a person, and the better person you are, the better it's going to be your job, the better you're going to get along with your friends in the cast, and the better the show is going to be. I like something that Kelly said the other day when I was interviewing him. He said the show is as good as the performers feel. And that is true.
Totally.
Yeah? You know, it's so important from a perspective of a choreographer, of a company, of the director, to make the team feel good, because then that's going to reflect in the show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think too, like the way the performers treat each other, and that's something that comes from the top down. So you need to really set a tone at the beginning of a rehearsal period and set expectations so people know what to expect each day. They know what to expect long-term, have a short and long-term plan so that nobody's in the dark. You know, they don't just think they're being told exactly what to do. No, they're part of it. They have ownership of it. They're part of the process. You know, you take suggestions from the performers, you know?
Oh, yes, because that makes it better. You know, when you're in the choreography side or director, you might miss a lot of things, or you might not, you know, feel them. And sometimes you get tangled in it, and a performer says, why don't we do this instead of, oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Collaboration.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been lucky enough to see so many different generations come into the show. And every year, like, they bring something new. And it's different. Like, there's a lot of change. There's every, like, probably 10 years or 7 years, there's this wave, and it's a change. And you can either hold back and stick to your old way of doing things, or you can kind of evolve and learn from these new people, because they're going to be doing things that you couldn't do, or they're going to have a different way of thinking. I remember called the first wave, when technology was really big, and these skaters were coming in, and I was a line captain of Disney at the time, and they had a meeting with us about how to deal with the new kids coming in. But I soon realized that they're asking a lot of questions because their generation has access to more information at a young age. The internet's there. They're not just used to being told what to do. They can go Google it, like before we even knew what that was. So they're asking a lot of questions, not because they're a pain in the ass, but they're because they want the information. So it was really cool. It was cool to learn from that and
evolve too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to change as well a little bit.
Yeah.
Evolve with the times.
Totally.
Of course, you have to that. Like now we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Simone is saying respect does come from the top down. It's true.
Yeah.
So you guys fly as well, right? You do aerial.
Yes.
Yep.
The first aerial number I did was on Disney in 2000. We did Tarzan and Jane. I had a different partner, Stefan. It was great. Andy also learned. He was one of the understudies, and we actually ended up skating together later down the road. But we learned to climb a Spanish web and did an act 30 feet in the air dual on skates. for Tarzan and Jane, and it was incredible. And that was the first acro experience, coming from trying to change your body as a skater, where you only use your legs.
Yeah. The legs and
your upper body, your arms, your everything. You almost had to like be broken down to like rebuild yourself up in a different way. And I feel like Andy and I, from that point, have we changed our training, everything about it. That's where it really kind of, I think, started for us and our health and well-being. And I don't know, it just really changed us, and it was great. It was absolutely great.
It was mental.
For sure.
It was mental.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I know. I just wanted to say, because it happened the same to me. Like, I'm a dancer, so everything is bottom heavy, and then I started doing aerial, and I could not lift myself at all. But I'm sure that helped you a lot as well in evolving in lifts, because when you have stronger arms, you can do more, handstand stuff that helps the partner and help you to do more difficult lifts, right?
Yeah, well, for sure. Holding yourself.
And feeling the body tension, like, when you're a pair skater, especially we taught a competitive pair team today, and when you're a competitive pair skater, it's all about just powering yourself up there and getting up there. But as you learn adagio and acrobatics, you realize that the body tension and using the leverage and feeling that tension before you go up, that was huge. I think that is a big part of our career and why we're still going, where a lot of people, their bodies are broken by this time.
Yes, because you reeducate your body and you learn all these that gives you support, right? Sustaining. That's cool.
On Holiday on Ice about 5 years ago, we did a show called Believe, that we said Christopher Dean choreographed for them, and we did a silk act together at the end of the show. It was a little physical, not as physical as actually climbing a web, but we were on a motor for the silk. But it was another really cool aerial thing that we learned, and it's just really, really fun to do. And then this year on Axel, we're doing an aerial ballet where we're just on a wire. There's 3 girls on wires, and we're doing a nice ballet, and we come down to the boys, the partners. So not as physical, but really pretty. So we've done
I wanted to ask you that, like, how is it in Cirque du Soleil? Did you learn a lot? Because I know they give you like training in different disciplines, right? If you want to, or if you need to, you have that opportunity to learn more stuff.
Well, actually, that's a little bit of a misconception. Like, when the shows first, I think after the shows are created, there's more opportunity. But when the show's first created, they want people to do their discipline. So they want the highest level in their discipline.
So an aerialist or...
So in casting, like, we look for the skating. And then if there is something where they may have to do some kind of aerial, we look for that potential. Do they have the right temperament? Or they have the type of person that could learn that? But it's not something that they really crossed over too much right away. So I think in the future, that's the way it's going to go. I work in casting. I see a lot of great skaters come through that have aerial ability. But I think from Cirque, they're a circus company. And so the best skaters, the best aerialists that skate are like their kind of lower level. And so they want the best level of each discipline. But I think, as things go on and they get to know skaters a little bit more, I push skating so much.
Yeah, I think because skating's so new for them as well. So they're still learning. We're really the skaters are really teaching them about the shows. And even Axel, now three years later after the first show opened, there was a lot already learned. But yeah, it's just a much shorter rehearsal period for Cirque on whole. But compared to a normal ice show getting put together between 5 and 8 week period, which is pretty much the norm, Cirque was 4 months. So for us, it's quite a long time. But still, because they have so many disciplines in a show, that time, you don't get that much time. So it needs that 4-month period. And then again, if we were to learn a big major act, it would take more time.
Back to the ballet.
Did you learn something new in there, like a new discipline besides skating? Well, now you had to do the wire.
Actually, right? So on Crystal, I was we weren't supposed to do this. We were up in a dance class, and they called us down to the ice, and there's this act. It's a swinging poles act on Crystal. So it's a mix of Chinese pole and Russian swing, and it goes all the way up. Like the swing goes past vertical, right next to the truss. So you can imagine how high that is in the ceiling.
It was the highest number done outside of something that went into water on any Cirque show.
As far as dismounts.
And that's on Crystal.
So they called myself down and one other skater, and they said, okay, can you guys actually push on that? So we're on this thing, we're building the speed, and then what we do at the end, we kick our flyer off, and they do like a double backflip or
an
Coca-Cola.
An actual acrobat flies off. Yeah.
So, and it's high, like it's crazy. My skates were hanging off the edge of the platform like that.
But really cool.
But it was so cool. Like that was one of my favorite things. That was my favorite thing on that entire show.
And that number has never been done before, ever. Not out of a show. No, it's because it's the cross between the two disciplines of the Russian swing and the pole.
Yeah.
So not only was it new in general, it was new to be on the ice, and then you also had two skaters pushing in skates on the platform, pushing the acrobats.
Yeah.
So
then,
it was quite incredible number, actually.
And the acrobat just landed on a fly mat held by two acrobats. And then you had a front spot and a back spot. But,
yeah, so it was a really cool number.
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah.
That's cool. Besides skating in the show, both of you have other responsibilities, right? You and you're in the casting, and you, Robin, have something else.
Well, the first year on Crystal, I was the first coach that they ever had with Cirque. So for skating. There's many different levels of coaches, and yeah, I was doing the coaching side of it. It's called an artist coach, and then there's like a head coach that oversees the acrobats and the skaters as well. So I was in charge of that, doing all the notes, all the meetings, anything that needed to be changed, any choreography, I had to change it. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to do that, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I do the talent scout for ice skating. So basically, I was the first skating job hired out of IHQ for like an actual job there. So my job was to find talent for Cirque, for future shows, and kind of go through the entire they have a huge database. It's the biggest artist database in the world. And so I had to go through and I had to basically clean the whole thing. So I had to go and reformat everything, reevaluate every single person who had ever applied. That was my first big task. So there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, it was kind of cool. It was good practice because as you go through, you really get to see the fine details between, somebody who's pretty good and somebody who's fantastic. And then there's some that just weren't ready. But the great thing about Cirque du Soleil and the casting was, and I love this and I've followed it, is if somebody's not ready for one of our shows and they show promise, we'll recommend them for another show. So because the worst thing is if somebody just quits. Mm-hmm. So if they go somewhere and get better or keep skating or work on their, and then maybe they come back to us. And and a lot of times we had two shows, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity. It was like a look or a casting thing or availability, and there's amazing skaters, but we just didn't have anything for them. So I constantly keep recommending them to other shows.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, because as you were saying before, that you've learned with every single company you've been through, we all need an opportunity, right? We all need a show to get practice with whatever we do and to grow in some respects. Yeah. So that's nice that so people get experience and then they can apply for obviously higher jobs like Cirque du Soleil. So tell me, you travel so much. I want to hear everything about it. I want to know first, because you've done very different kind of touring, right? Because Holiday has a way of touring, and Disney, I guess, it has a different one, and Cirque has a different one. So tell me, how do you travel in Holiday? How do you travel in Disney? How do you travel in Cirque?
Well, let's start with Disney, maybe.
Sure.
So Disney is Disney and Cirque are kind of similar, but just kind of on a different level. So again, you travel every week, new city every week. With Disney, it was usually Monday, Tuesdays off. We traveled by bus. If it's up to 10 or 12 hours, it was a really long bus trip sometimes, or we'll fly if it's longer. Hotels are actually quite good with Disney. They have a pretty good formula, but you always had a roommate, which we didn't mind because we're together.
I would say with Disney as well, because they have so many ice shows, there's so much opportunity to get on a tour that goes somewhere exotic. You know, they've got Asia tours and Europe a couple of Europe tours. Like there's so much opportunity. I think we did our most traveling was because of Disney on Ice.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, you can't take that's the best.
The one time we were on a Asia tour. It was Japan, China, Southeast Asia, and New Zealand, Australia. We did Japan, and then we went into China, and it was a new market for them, and we were on a single entry visa. And so half the tour got canceled. So we were playing one city in like a month.
Yeah, about a month, 3 or 4
So
days.
Judy Thomas, she's amazing. Right away we wrote her, we're like, if there's any break work, we'd love it. And so
which means going to another show.
Which means going to another show.
Yeah.
So right away she's like, okay, you guys are going to go to Europe. So we flew from China to Europe. To Sweden. Yeah. We stayed there for like 3 weeks. And then we flew back to Hong Kong for 1 week with our other show. And then back to Europe again.
For another month.
And then back to Thailand after that. It was crazy. All within like 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
crazy.
But that's amazing. Like nice destinations, eh?
Like, oh, amazing. Like
so good.
The good thing is like we both are pretty realistic. We don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know, it's not normal. And then Holiday on Ice is you know, it's in Europe, so a lot of bus trips.
Okay.
It was good. I
love Europe. So you know, you walk a lot, and we usually walk or take public transportation to work. And I don't know, I just love Europe. It's very easy.
It's nice, it's relaxed. Europe is safe. You have lots of history to see. And everything is close by.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's really
I love it.
Both years we did Believe. We had such a wonderful cast as well. You know, even through the hard times.
Group trips and experiences all together. That's nice.
Yeah. That show was hard for us though, even though that was probably the hardest we've ever worked in our whole career. Our show was like a 2-hour show, and we were on the ice for 80% of the show. So it was.
But it was so so much gratification for it. It's like you felt so good at the end of it. But.
And even doing that busy schedule, you didn't mind going and watching or being with your friends afterwards. Like we didn't just go back to the hotel room. We did that a lot because we're tired. But on the days off, we were out with our friends exploring and going for dinner.
It's so great.
It was great.
I have to say. With Cirque, though, we've just done North American tour so far. We changed shows, so we left Crystal to come to the new show. So we were back in North America, but Crystal just went overseas to Russia and Europe before we all finished, you know, before this. But I think they're on track. They would like to do a similar thing like Disney and travel for 5 years and go around the world. So, but we'll see.
So some of the differences though with Cirque are. So on Crystal, after we'd load the show out, we wouldn't just get on public transportation. If we had a flight, if we had a bus that was more over 6 hours, we'd take a flight, but we'd have a charter flight, which was so cool. So we'd have like 3 hours to kill while the crew finished, or 4 hours.
Go for dinner. Yeah.
And then after that, we would get on the plane, and we'd sit at the back. And then when the crew get on the plane, we'd all clap. And then we'd take off.
The crew takes the front seats, and then the door closes, and we would fly to the next city. So that was our first year on Crystal.
So that was cool. And the catering on Cirque, just for the food. I would do it just for the food.
Yeah.
Like you walk in, there's a full hot meal all the time, and it's like many choices. The catering company they have, there's some really special people there.
It's really easy to eat healthy. I mean, there's way more rehearsals and time at the building, so you really need to be fed. You need to be fueled properly so you have the energy, because sometimes, a lot of the times, we're doing from 10 in the morning till after the show till like 10 at night on even a one show day. So we're there a long time, so it's really nice that we have we're able to eat really well. And in between the hot meals, you can always go, there's a sandwich bar.
Nice.
You can make a sandwich, a smoothie bar,
espresso bar, a juice bar.
you know, so you can always get healthy stuff.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it? Like when you have, there are things that you will think, no, but it does make a huge difference to be like loved and given nice food and nice cleaning, or like these things that you feel they're taking care of you when you're working so hard for so many hours. Totally. So that is wonderful, and that makes you remember those jobs as special, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and the other good thing is you don't have to have a roommate on Cirque, which is huge, to have some private time when you're, you know, we're together all the time.
It's easy for us.
That's normal and we like it.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's tough.
It's nice for them to have their own space and stuff.
Yes, it can get, especially if you get a roommate that maybe you get along, but it's not the same kind of you. Gets up early, you sleep late.
Right.
You know, these kind of things that disturb about, like, you might get along, but like habits are different. So that's really cool. What are the countries you consider were the best audience?
Ooh, best audience. South America is pretty amazing.
I remember the first time Disney played Dominican Republic with, actually it was our jungle show where we did the Tarzan and Jane. That was probably the loudest audience. They sang every single song. It was the loudest audience I'd ever heard. Mm-hmm. It was incredible. They were so into it. And then afterwards, because they hadn't really seen ice, a lot of people, they'd go down and they'd touch the ice. Yeah. So really cool. Yeah, South America, I think, is really
For me,
loud.
The UK is probably the best fans. We still keep in touch with some of the fans there. When we did Dancing on Ice, obviously the TV show gives you a lot of exposure, but the fans still. We had people that came to see us across countries, across seas from that show, or from Europe to Canada to the US from the UK. Yeah. So those fans are the most loyal. And after every show, it was really cool. You go and sign autographs, and they have little candies for you or treats, or they bring you a cake, and you can't really eat it because you don't know if it's safe. But then there's the chocolate ladies. They're wonderful. They still keep in touch. And they bring chocolates every show.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
They're so sweet.
I think there's something like that with English people, because I had that in the ships. I have like a couple of older couples, 60 or more, that I still keep in touch, and they're very they take the time to give that contact, and that's super nice. You wouldn't think, right?
Totally.
Maybe you don't have that in mind. Like as English, you think they're or whatever. But it's not true. They're very warm.
Yeah, everyone that's been in touch with us through Dancing on Ice has been really, really generous to us. We have one girl, Ruth. She's really, she still says hello to us, and we'll have a little chat. Really nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We like English people. Now that my husband is from England.
Well, yeah, you're a little
biased. I
biased.
can see the little flag.
So, were you staying in London when you were filming Dancing on Ice?
For the filming, yes. But when you train with your celebrity, you go wherever they are. So I was lucky enough. I was in London for both times, actually. Yeah.
I had to go all over the place because at the time your celebrity's still working and doing things, and a lot of them are doing because it's around. Yeah. So my first year I was with a rugby player, Gareth Thomas, and he was like all over the place. So I spent time up north. Yeah, it was really cool. I got to see a lot of the country.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You got to travel a lot through the UK. So which part do you like the best? If you have to say from England, what's your favorite part?
That's tough. We can make them enemies right now.
Oh my gosh. That is tough.
Well, okay, one of our best memories was when we first got there, we stayed in Windsor.
Oh yeah, Windsor.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So we'd have to walk to the grocery store, and we walked by all the swans in the river, right by the castle. That was a special moment.
We could live in London.
Yeah.
If we had a job that we could afford, we could live
it's a nice city. It's expensive, but very nice.
Yeah. And the people are cool. Like the sense of humor there is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
People could take a joke.
They're so like bitter, aren't they?
Yeah. No, it was a great 2 years. It was one of the best times we've had in our career, I'd have to say. With just the people we met living in London, the show was amazing. and yeah, just the friends that we made and skated with. They were really talented, and we had so much fun. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Ruth just, that's Ruth who just put some hearts there.
Oh, Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Oh, that's Ruth. Hey,
Yeah.
Ruth.
Yeah.
She's watching. That's good.
Yeah. We just had a Zoom the other day with a bunch of the Dancing on Ice people from our seasons, and Christopher Dean and Karen. And it was just like, we just hit it off like old times.
Yeah.
It was great. We stayed on with some people for like 4 hours. So
of course, because you haven't seen them in so long,
yes.
And that bond feels fresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every class you keep them as I don't know, sometimes I think I'm crazy because you become such good friends, family. And time goes by and you still have that memory like it was yesterday. So you appreciate that the same in that time.
Yeah, totally.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk for a long time. Yeah.
Yes, when you connect very easy. Which one would you say was the weirdest place or the strangest place skating took you to?
Ooh, well, we've got to go to Oman in the Middle East.
That was amazing.
Muscat, that was incredible.
That was with Broadway on Ice with BTEC Productions.
We played the
Royal Opera House there. It was the first time they had ice in the Opera House. It was about
which place? I didn't get you.
Oman.
In
Oman.
Muscat.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was really unique and interesting. I really enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, the cool thing about that was it was the first time they obviously had skating in there, and they have like the traditional, I don't know what it is. It's like a call when somebody like screams in a certain way, like from their culture, and they'd never had it in that theater until our show was there.
Yeah.
It was really cool. That was awesome.
It was very different.
What other little places have we played?
It's a very different culture.
Oh yeah, for sure. Montevideo, Uruguay was one of my favorite places.
Which one?
Montevideo,
really?
Uruguay. Yeah, incredible city. That was my first tour. That was one of my favorites. Where else? Oh, okay. Maracaibo, Venezuela. So this was crazy. So we weren't supposed to play there with my first year Disney on Ice, and all of a sudden they decided last minute they're going to play. The first lady of the city was bring us in. We played this venue that hadn't been played in 20 years. So first they had to go clean it. There was cockroaches everywhere because it was hot there. Nobody had been in there years. They had to build the floor. They had to do everything. So we went in there and I helped do load in and load out. Back then the skaters could do work as crew. And I remember it was like 24 hours we were on. It was crazy. But we finally got the show in, and then we had a bunch of days off. And the first lady of the city brought us to their private island, and we got to like swim in the ocean. And for some reason in that South American tour, they provided beer for us every single week.
I was just going to ask you that because, there's a big difference to work, not that I'm from a Latin country, but when you work in Latin country, there's always these kind of things like, the governor is coming over for dinner with the skaters and taking you on a free boat trip to an island, or they always give you beers, or they always give you a dinner. Is this thing doesn't happen much in Europe, maybe, right?
Well, yeah, that was my first tour, so I thought, oh, this is how it is on tour. This is amazing. I'm going to stay forever.
They spoil you.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really cool. That was a unique week for me, for sure.
I'd have to say, Japan is very similar to that. When we started going over there, the promoters they're just so generous. They would take us to Korean barbecue dinners and stuff like that. So I don't know. Japan's one of my favorites.
I agree with you. I adore Japan. I adore them, how polite and educated they are, and I adore that everything is so clean and organized, and they dress so well, and everything is just like, oh.
I know. We love it.
And it was really cool. We were just there, so I was just casting there, and it was so cool because we go back, and these friends of ours that we've known for 20 years are now like the big bosses at Chukio Television, the show that brings us over. But we know them as like the guy pulling the curtain. They're just such great friends. And every time we go back, it's like they're not the boss. We just go back and we're old friends and it's a good time.
Yeah, so we got to see them all.
That was
And
cool.
it's interesting because it's a very different culture to all of ours, and the food and everything. But I found that, I don't know if you agree, but in Orient in general, the food can be complicated sometimes if you're not into the taste or the spice. And I found that in Japan, I felt like this is smooth. You know, a tempura, it's fried fish is fine. The sushi is fried, like there's nothing very contrasting. You can take their food. It's kind of accessible.
Totally.
And I feel like every city you go to has its own specialty. Like even if we've gone for 4 months at a time, and sometimes I've had sushi one time in 4 months. Like there's so many different things. Yeah.
Do you go to Kobe?
Yes, we've been to Kobe. Yeah.
You had Kobe beef?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
So I went on my very first casting trip there. That was 2 years ago. And next to our hotel, I look at the menu and everything's like pretty normal prices. And you know, it's for Cirque Du Soleil, so I don't want to spend too much money. It's my first time. And I'm like, oh, I'll get the special. Well, it was Kobe beef, and I get the bill and it was like $300 for this like tiny little steak, but it was the best steak of my life. It was so good.
That's nice. I was in Kobe just with a ship. Actually, we were in another city. I think it was Osaka. So we took like a train.
Yeah, it's really close. Yeah.
Yes. And I wanted to try the Kobe beef, but we didn't have time to go to a restaurant. And there was this little part on the square, and they were telling you literally a toothpick with a tiny piece like this. I was like, I want one, $10 for like. But I can say I tried Kobe beef. I was like, I can't leave Kobe without trying Kobe.
Oh my god! I would do it too if I saw that.
I'd do it for half an hour and pretend that was a big steak.
Right.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Japan's special for us. So it was Japan's where we actually started dating. So it's.
Oh really?
We always look forward to going back.
Special.
Yeah, we've been lucky. This last trip 3 months ago was our 7th time going to Japan, so super lucky, and it was probably our best trip ever.
It was amazing.
It was right before we had to come home, and it was wonderful. Yeah,
it was kind of crazy because it was just when the Corona thing was kicking up, right? And so we booked this place in Hakone. It was like an onsen resort, onsen like Japanese hot springs.
Yeah.
And usually you go to the hot springs, and one of them, there's a men's day and a ladies' day, and it switches every day. So one's like looking at a waterfall and one's looking at the mountains over a cliff. And usually you go in there and it's pretty busy in those resorts. It was nobody. It was a private onsen for both of us. So it was like this
3 days we didn't see anybody.
It was like this special moment in time. Yeah.
Like a honeymoon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It felt like
that. Myself, I was like, "Is this real?" Like,
you paid for this, like,
right?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
So, which country would you say is the one that you like the best for the food?
For food, Japan.
Japan, close to Thailand. I don't know. It's very Thai food. So good. Japan and Thailand, favorite.
Yeah. For me,
I like Thai food, but when I was in Thailand, it was so goddamn spicy, and I don't eat spice. So I like occidental Thai food, and when I got there, I was like, oh, I couldn't eat anything, like very, very little things. It's very spicy.
Oh, see, I love the spice. I love it.
I just say no spice.
Like, everybody loves spice but me. So when I go in any other, because in Argentina, we don't eat spice. I don't know if you find out when you were traveling here, like, it's not very common, right? To the rest of Latin America, it's a lot of spice, but here,
I just remember the wine and the steak.
Oh,
it was so good.
The last time we were there was incredible.
Oh my gosh, that glass I bet tastes delicious.
I know. Did you do shows only in Buenos Aires, or did you travel anywhere else in the country?
We did it in Cordoba and Buenos Aires. Yeah. My first tour, I was in Cordoba as well, and then we were just there. We were sent to work with all the pairs on a Disney show. And then
5 years ago or something, 6 years ago.
Yeah. And it was interesting though. The first time I was there was in '99, and I hadn't been back since. And Argentina's changed a lot in that time. Yes, I remember Cordoba was like this crazy kind of party place when I first went, or maybe I was just younger. Um, but it seemed to have like kind of calmed down, and it was a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it grew, but Cordova people are very party orientated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very fun. Once we went with Nick to, I took him to a little talk. Every time he used to come after the shifts, I will book some special trip so he gets
Mm-hmm.
to know a little bit of the country. And we went, I don't know if you know, Villa General Belgrano. It's like a little town, German town. The Oktoberfest there is huge. They do, like, it's huge.
Oh,
It's
that's
a German.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all like these houses and beer. So I was like, let's go there. We went there, and because it was off season, nobody was there. And we're just walking to town one day, like, what do? We hear this music, and you put music, and Nick goes to it. He doesn't care. So we get there, and it's this kind of art exposition in some house. So we just crash in. There's a band playing, sandwiches going around, wine. We're just like, yeah, hi, like pretending to look at the paintings. And then we found out it was like the end of the year show of the painting school, local painting school.
Oh no.
We totally crashed. Everybody left, and we stayed there with the teacher, the owner of the house, and 3 more, having a roasted leg, and wine, dancing tango until 5 in the morning. We still email with them. It was, as you can see, Cordova people are very hard.
Yeah.
So maybe you were in the wrong side this last time.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we're just older. I don't know.
Just a little bit. From all the traveling you've done, do you roughly know how many countries have you seen?
No, we've never really counted. I think.
I don't know.
No.
That's a good.
That's a good task right now. We have the time.
We could do that this week.
Because you have an app. You need to get I have the app. See, every time you go somewhere, you just click it and it counts.
You know, as much as we like to reminisce, we always kind of look forward and think what's next, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do that. That'd be fun to
do.
We'll keep
let
you posted.
you know.
Yeah, please. Yes.
Well,
We do another chat and you tell me how many countries I want to know. From the wonders of the world, have you seen some?
So we've seen the Great Wall.
Okay.
I went to Easter Island. No pyramids. That's the bucket list.
That's the old one. The Colosseum, yes.
The Colosseum, no. We played we've been to Verona. We played the Arena de Verona, but never the Colosseum.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. We were planning to go to Italy this year, but Greece.
Yeah, we have a lot of things to still see.
What other wonders have we seen?
Well, the wonders are they the Christ in Rio, right?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. So
okay, there you go. Peru, Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
You did.
Yes. So.
You have 3.
Yeah. 4. I have 4.
4. Okay, and then the Taj Mahal.
No.
I have that one on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I have that one. I'm missing those 2. Okay, and I always forget to the pyramids. You didn't see? You didn't?
No.
No, it's my number 1 thing that I've always wanted to see.
And you must definitely. You have to.
Yes.
Have you been there?
Yes, with the ship. You know, with the ship.
Okay.
That's cool.
I think I have so many countries. I have 53 so far. Just but the ships, you know, in a week you do 5 countries. So.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You change itinerary a lot. You get to see so many things. That I think that's the best of the job.
Mm-hmm.
For
sure. Yeah, I think we stayed overseas for like 2 years one time, just city after city every week, which was nice. The cool thing when you play Asia with Disney is they'll do a week, and then the containers have to clear customs, so you get a week or 2 off in the next city. So you're on the beach in Thailand.
Yeah. So Southeast Asia, we've spent a lot of time actually just vacationing, waiting for all the show stuff to come over, but it was our travel time. So
that's really cool, especially in Asia, because it's expensive to fly from our side of the world. So that's cool when they get you there for free, and then you get to travel around.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Some of our best moments are. Did we what?
Did you go to PP Island in Thailand?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Pee-pee.
Raleigh Beach and Krabi is our favorite.
Yeah. So
We were just there. So when we finished Crystal, Robin had knee surgery.
Last year.
And then we were like, you know what? We need to like go on a long vacation. That was a really hard show. We went, it's different with Cirque du Soleil. It's a different buildup and a different kind of tired, because usually every tour, we're so used to it. It's like, okay, you have your 10-month tour, 11-month tour, and then you have a month or two off. There it's three months on, 2 weeks off. And at first the 2 weeks seems like enough, but as you keep going, you get more tired and the 2 weeks doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah.
So you get really burnt out. So we're like, we're going to go on a really long trip. We're going to spend a month in Thailand. And we had a deal. So I was still casting for Axel. So I had to work a little bit, but when we go out, no phones.
Well, luckily my phone, not lucky, but lucky, my phone broke day 2. So, but I was
you were like,
you know what? I'm in Thailand. It's okay. So I actually don't have many pictures from last year.
But our rule was no phones, and we're only going to book 2 days at each place. And if we hear somebody say something sounds cool, we go there.
Yeah.
And
like
that was
free.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we did that. And it was incredible. We ended up going, we didn't really want to go to Copenhagen because it was like, we didn't want to go to the full moon party. It wasn't our thing. But then somebody's like, oh no, the other side of Copenhagen is amazing. And so we're like, okay, we're doing it. This Israeli couple, they were so cool.
Like this amazing resort and ended up being one of our favorite places. Again, like a beach place that we've ever been.
Best pad thai we ever had was this little lady just on the street. It was like $1.
It's so
you know, incredible.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's the good thing. Maybe the flight is expensive, but like the food and everything in Thailand is cheap. So
once you get there.
Well, actually, our flight wasn't that expensive. So because we were going for a long time, we were like, okay, well, we don't have to worry about long flights there. So we flew Southern China Airlines. It was $900 for 2 of us to fly there and back.
Through Wuhan.
Through Wuhan. So
that was the first time we ever heard of Wuhan last year.
Okay, until Corona, you're like, I've been there and I stopped.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So the flight there was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. But the flight back, we checked in and we were supposed to go back from
one stop
Thailand, Guangzhou to San Francisco. Well, we get there and they're like, okay, so you're going to have a stop in Wuhan again also. And we're like
2 stops in China.
We're like, but that's not on our ticket. And everybody was doing the same thing. But each time we had to clear customs, so it was like an extra 5 hours.
2 times clearing customs to get out.
It was like 3 days. Oh yeah, so we stopped in Wuhan, and it was really, there were some characters. So everybody was so mad about this extra stop. Everybody was tired. There was this one man who was carrying this fan with him the whole time. We just remember it was a huge fan, super awkward.
That goes on the table, you know, the kind that like wave on the table. He
was swearing at all the local officials, and I'm like, look, they didn't do anything wrong. Like, please don't do this. You're going to go to jail in China. And then we saw a fight in Wuhan airport. 2 girls just going at it. It was crazy. It was not real life. So anyways, we made it. And we needed a vacation after our vacation for sure.
Well, you know, like you travel so much, you get so many stories, especially in that part of the world that is so different, right? Like it's like another story completely different from ours. We lived in China for like 5 months on a show, and as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Which part of China were you in?
Well, luckily we were in a little city that was new. It was like a year old. So basically, there was no people. It was just us. It was the cast from the show that we were. I don't know. I think it was like 30 performers, all from North America and England. So it was like a little clump, and literally the city was desertic, all new buildings. Because I found out that when I got there, I remember we got there around 1 a.m. with me, and you know, they're driving us through the city, and it's like ghost town, but everything is like high ceiling, like buildings and these outlet, and the theater we were performing at, it was Vegas. Seriously, like 5,000 people in the audience. You can fit. We had the eyes only coming out for our number, so it was.
What's the city called?
It's called Guyane. You will not even find it on the map, I
Oh,
think.
interesting.
Because it's in Fuzhou province, and
Yeah.
it's very, very close to Linjiang,
Okay.
kind of across from Taiwan.
It's
You
in
see on the map.
that's in a theme park, right?
It's not a theme park. It's
not.
a small city, and it has like literally a very small city, and it has like 3 theme parks in the city,
Wow.
and this theater that is. We had 20 motors for flying, an ice rink coming up,
Wow.
like swimming pool for divers with fountains and sea lions. It was just like, huh?
Unreal.
So
And
cool.
it was amazing for us, but there was nobody in the town, literally. So we would just do whatever we wanted. We all got bikes with no plaque, no insurance, no helmet, no shoes. We're just going around to
Oh my God.
waterfalls and stuff. It was like, huh? And then they explained me that in China, it was so big, they build the city first. They build them high end,
Yeah.
and it has to have like a 5-star theater. They had these outlets with like Louis Vuitton and all the first brands.
Wow.
They put everything first, and then they wait for the people to come.
That's unreal. It sounds like Florida.
Oh, did you have the audience? Did the audience come?
It's so reverse. I was like,
Yeah.
so you don't like grow it as the people come. No, they just build everything full out and then they wait.
Well, you know what? It's funny. So we've been to China 4 times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the first time we went was in 2002, I think. And we were in Beijing, and the area we stayed, there was nothing. So it was just like this market selling stuff. It was when it was really cheap. It was fun.
Yeah.
We stayed in these apartments that were okay. But the whole area was just like almost like shanty town.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to the market there. This is a side story, and there was a lot of people, like poor people, that needed money. And we're like, well, we don't want to give them money. So we bought these peaches. Like somebody was selling peaches. We bought this big bag of peaches and we gave it to these little kids. And then all of a sudden it started this fight between these adults and these kids. It was like, oh man, it was so sad.
You felt bad. You were trying to do something nice, and it was just because people. Yeah.
Yeah, people were really struggling.
Ah.
But the next time we went there, all of a sudden there was skyscrapers everywhere.
It was about a year and a half before the Olympics in Beijing. So things had already been like
Starbucks on every corner,
like glass high-end shopping in that same area.
Yeah.
And then we went back about a year or so after the Olympics. So we saw like this huge.
Did you saw the whole?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the contrast was that where that market was, there was a Lamborghini dealership.
Like
it
all
was
glass
crazy.
Chanel. Like it's kind of sad, but it was like completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
Completely changed.
Yeah. Well,
And
they do have like kind of a thing for the brand. Chinese is funny because when we were on the ship going through Asia, all we wanted to do, the crew, was get off and go to the underground markets to buy fake, you know? Because you get the bags, they look exactly the same and they're so cheap. But the ship had to change the whole shops. You know, if you do a cruise ship in the United States, you have all the cheap stuff because everyone wants the sales. You know, you want the watch for $10 and all that.
Yeah.
To change all that for high-end brand because Chinese want to shop and they want the Louis Vuitton for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's funny because they live where they can get the fake one, but they want the real one, and we want the fake one. So it was like we're crossing. We're going for the real. Yes, like such a contrast. It's funny cultures, no? When you go around, like what they aim for, the status.
Well, and we learned a lot there. Each time we went back, we kind of learned about their culture a bit more. And the first time you go, you have this impression like people are rude, you know, they're pushy. Yeah. But then the more you go there, you realize like, no, this is their culture. And there's so many people that if you don't push your way through, you're going to get left behind. So we kind of got to understand that and realize like sometimes it was frustrating, but people weren't trying to be rude. That's their normal. And so we really enjoyed it the last time we were there more than the times before. I think we grew up a little bit and kind of saw it from their perspective a bit.
Well, there's no better education, honestly, than traveling. We're so lucky to do it, but just living and seeing different cultures, you know, it just makes you feel and have like a certain empathy to things. And,
Yes,
you know, it's just, I don't know, I feel really lucky.
of course. To open your mind, you know, and see different realities where you live, because what we say that probably happens to you a lot as well. That, you know, you have your friends or the people that you know where you always grew up, and you go and you see all these, and you come back, and they're still thinking maybe the same.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and especially being in leadership roles now, like it really helps us, like Robin said, feel empathy for people and see it from their side. You know, everybody has their process to get to where they need to be. So, you know, some people are just lazy, but, you know, some people have a different process, you know, and we actually are a good example of that. Like I didn't grow up being like super artistic or comfortable with it. And Robin was just natural. And now when we create things, we both have things that we bring to the table. Like I have this big idea. I always get a big idea of the theme and this idea. And then I show Robin, and then she's like, oh, let's try it like this. And I'm like, oh, that looks better. So then she kind of makes this big idea look beautiful. So and then we work together. Yeah, it's cool. Like we really know each other's strengths.
Yeah.
Compliment.
Yeah.
Great. What do you have like a phrase or a mantra that gets you through a bad day?
No, not really. I just treat each other well.
Yeah.
I think that's important, because no matter what you're frustrated about now, at the end of the day, it's going to seem so small.
Yeah.
You know, take a step back. Wait a minute. Because, you know, things
it's not brain surgery.
Yeah, even big things that seem huge at the time, if you just take a step back and really analyze it.
Take a breath.
You know, that we call it, like, you don't want to have the unnecessary freak out. You know, that person who just freaks out and then they're like, oh, wait, that was my fault.
It's not that bad. Yes, absolutely.
And
do you have like any recommendations for skaters here and everywhere that are, you know, struggling at this time, or that frustrated through their careers?
Yeah, I think right now what we're trying to do is find balance. So physically, we're using this time to work on muscles that we don't use in skating. Like I have the hamstrings of a 12-year-old girl.
They're probably
and
more
strong
flexible.
Quads. Well, right, yeah.
12-year-olds are more flexible than you.
Yeah. Thank you. But no, like it's all about balancing their body and working opposing muscles, and that's longevity. We do that every break anyways.
Yeah. And of course, like everybody, gyms are closed, everything's closed. We're lucky we live in Florida, so since we've got sent home from work, we've at least been able to go outside to have a walk around the, you know, a walk, a jog, a bike, come back in. So we're very lucky that way. We've also turned our garage into a little you know, our gym. So but you know, we only had a yoga mat and a big ball, you know, a few things.
Car battery.
So Andy's been using a car battery. You find things to compensate. Lifting me, we still do lifts outside, stuff like that. But we've just been trying to balance that way, and then as well as mentally, which we also try and do on the road on days off. We're doing the same thing now. Like we're on Zoom a lot, and which is great, and we're doing lessons like that, but we also need to go outside, go and get some fresh air, you know, whether we're not going to be around people because we're all distancing a bit, but just to be outside and get fresh air and see sunshine and see the trees and nature. You need to balance yourself that way. It's really, really important.
Well, and something that people need to talk about, I think, is anxiety. Like I had a huge, I'd never had anxiety in my life. And, you know, not too long ago, I struggled with it a little bit. And I think it's important to talk about it, understand when it's happening, acknowledge it, go outside. Go outside, get in nature, do something physical.
Yeah, get going, get your body.
That's your defense against it. It's like, get your body working, I think, and
talk about it too.
Yeah,
I think like each of us have had different days, and I'm sure many people have, where you don't even know, you just feel a little bit anxious because of stuff going on. So I think just talking about it as,
oh no, there you go. Okay.
get your heart rate up a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Well, here it's hard because you're not allowed to go out. So you start getting, like today I was having a day of like, not just being upset or like stressed, and nothing has changed, but you know, over time being locked in, it's just getting under your nerves, and you start reacting to it. So yeah, definitely when you exercise, even if it's inside, because you cannot go out, it does help you calm down a lot. So yeah, keep moving, absolutely. What do you think is the best that this pandemic can live for good in this world?
Well, one, kindness to other people, for sure, and helping out other people.
Yeah, I've seen more acts of kindness during this than I really thought it was going to go the other way, and it's been really nice to see that.
Yeah, kindness, and I think everyone's life was getting busier and busier and busier. I know for show people, we contract, right? So even if you're always looking for the next job, and to get the good ones, it's 6 months in advance, you know, and you're going, and if you're not doing something or getting on top of it, you feel like you're missing out. And I feel like even in everyone's jobs around the world, no matter what you do, I feel like just life was getting faster and faster and faster. And this is really important, that I think everyone needed this time to like actually be at home for, you know, a little bit of time, maybe not like all the time, but to slow down.
Yeah, there's something I read recently that like people who are stressed a lot are always thinking in the future. That really resonated with me. So it's like those little things. This morning was a good example. I woke up and I laid there and I'm like, I can lay in bed as long as I want right now. When is that ever going to happen? You know what I mean? And I just like, I was looking at the bed and the ceiling and just where I live, and just taking this moment to be like, okay, I'm here. I don't need to be anywhere else. There's no fear of missing out on anything. And I think this is the only time this is going to happen. You know, once it starts going again. So take this time to really be okay with it.
I think it's also, there's been owners of companies, large companies, millionaires, there's been artists, there's been, you know, so many people not working, and it's put everyone on the same playing
the same page. Yes.
And we're all dealing with the same thing, no matter if you're a millionaire or a show skater, you know? So
aren't we all millionaires?
I mean,
but
you know what I mean? I think it's like
we are in the same level. Like there's no differences right now, because you know, I'm losing because I'm not working. He's losing because he's not producing. He's losing because his shows are kind of like everybody. It's in the same, in a different aspect how it's affecting you. But we're all in the same store, like it, because I read something not too long ago. They said we're not in the same boat, because your boat can be a yacht, mine can be a little one, he can be swimming, but we're on the same storm. Yeah, from our perspectives, and I think that's absolutely true. We all came to the same level, you know, in different aspects, and that brings empathy.
For sure.
I think that's a good positive thing. It'll bring people just to realize, because they'll have gone through it themselves as well, you know. So
absolutely. And one last question: what do you think is the best and the worst of our lifestyle?
Ooh, okay. The worst is we can't have a dog.
Thank you.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to have to leave one. The best is, I think, the friends.
I was going to say
from
that
all
too.
over the world. Like I said, we were in Japan, and we felt like they were a family just recently, and the friends from all over the world, and people that you share things, these amazing things that nobody could even understand. But you share these things with so many people being on tour. It's not just us, it's our whole group.
Yeah, my friends, everybody that I've met means a lot to me. And that's the number one thing. The best thing is meeting people and making connections and friendships forever. Because you know that job might finish, but your friendship will last.
It will last forever. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's gonna be such a nice pleasure. I mean, I could stay here for a while. But Instagram might explode if we keep talking.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. It was so nice to
Yes.
meet you and have our wine time.
Had a great time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And thank you for sharing all your experiences. I hope you stay healthy and safe and you keep working on that lovely project. I'm sure it's going to come amazing. And I hope I can be one of yours because I want to learn.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
You too. Take care. Stay healthy.
Yes.
Bye-bye. So
Bye.
Everyone else, if you want to see the full interview, you can go in YouTube or in Spotify. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again, Andy and Robin, for sharing all this with us, with everyone, and let us learn a little bit more about not only skating and show business, but about human, human condition, human empathy, being nice with each other and understanding our differences. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you soon on the next one, which is a great one as well. Cheers.